Welcome back to episode 3 of the Rebuilding the Ferrari 458 series. Yesterday we got this car started for the first time and did in fact find out that car still has an ECU, it wasn't fried, everything is good in that order. Now, before we move on and figuring out the next couple steps with this 458, today we're gonna take apart the fenders, take apart the hood, dive a little bit deeper and see what all needs to be replaced. Before I start ordering all the pieces of the car, I need to go over everything and see are there any hidden things that we thought looked good upon originally seeing it and now looking at it with a closer lens needs to be fixed up. And we're gonna talk about some potential ideas of where we're gonna get this frame redone and source a frame for the 458.
Just gotta make sure it's good, T.
You don't need to start it.
Oh, we just need to make sure.
You don't need to.
That's all.
You can't just start it like that and not do anything and just. Nah, you can't blue ball me like that.
Sorry, dude.
Did you move the seat back at least?
Yeah, I did.
It worked. So the first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and take apart this hood. It looks like some 14s, then take off these hood latches and disconnect the washer fluid line. And that's about it. One thing that I've learned a lot from builds in the past that I'm really gonna try to exercise. Get out of here.
No, this is my idea.
This was my idea.
No, I went to Walmart.
I said this first.
I went to Walmart.
With the FD, we did a really poor job. Well, we tried to do a good job with this, but with the FD, we lost a lot of hardware and it went south. So this time, we're really gonna try to exercise the fact to every bolt that we take off collectively, let's put it in a bag, label it, so when we go to put all this stuff back, it's not lost. Pro tip.
Honey, honey. Honey, honey.
So we're gonna be taking off everything on the underside of this hood. Calvin makes a good point, and when we do order new hoods for this car, I don't know, especially when we order from a junkyard, I'm not sure if it's gonna come with all these under panels. So we're gonna go the extra step and just take all of it apart and label it correctly so that if we ever do need to reuse it, we do have it.
Honey, honey.
TJ's whole goal is to do back to stock. I'm taking the time to remove the last bits of the windshield wiper sprayers, and I was over here trying to pry it open because you can't get your hand underneath there. There's no way unless you have my hands to get in there. I think this is worthwhile to do. I'm almost sure, like TJ said, that when you buy a old hood, it doesn't come with the little bells and whistles. It might, but it's not worth getting rid of this.
I guess it just depends on junkyard to junkyard, and we don't know, so we're gonna take the extra precautious route. And I took off this front latch nose right here, even though it is a little bit bent. But like I said, I'm gonna be keeping all these miscellaneous pieces because who knows, we might end up needing it even though it's a little bit bent. And also, I took out the hardware for the front badge.
Gotta get that off, man.
I'm gonna heat this thing up because Calvin said it's probably like he's probably right. There's like a resin here keeping this on. And I'm gonna rip this off and keep it because that's pretty rad. And I'm noticing too, this car had a full clear ball around the whole entire thing. Yeah, we should probably rip that off too before this thing goes to paint. We're gonna have to, which will suck.
Oh,
the whole car has a clear ball. I was noticing it the other day.
Oh, I see.
And it goes there. It might just be the front facing pieces. And like, look, this whole fender.
Oh, this has it.
Yeah, this has it too. It's like trying to not let itself survive. Ferrari's like, no, you can't reuse our sticker.
Oh, yeah.
Looking good, T. Keeping the childhood dreams alive, Cal. Whoa, it's like BMW. I fucking hate that.
Oh, you can see the carbon fibre right here.
So this car came with carbon ceramic brakes, which is amazing. These are very, very expensive, and I got actually a lot of feedback from you guys, so shout out to you guys watching, but a lot of you were saying to be very careful, especially with the right side of the car that took the impact. These are actually very, very fragile brakes, and oftentimes will develop like small spider cracks, and it'll create soft spots in the actual rotors. Whether or not we end up reusing these specific ones, I'm not sure. I would imagine that the left side is probably fine, but the right side are probably gonna need to replace that whole entire rotor. I don't even know how much that will be, honestly. Like, I
think
don't even know. Like, is it
I-
2,000,
no,
3,000?
I think you could buy the disc because this all looks like.
Yeah, this is what's fragile.
Yeah, we could. If this is like straight, then I think we could just replace it. Still, don't know how much that would be, but it's better than replacing your whole hub assembly. It doesn't look that bad. It's kind of pushed in. That's all.
I had a lot of people commenting saying that the front left fender was actually in perfect shape, so we should try to resalvage that. So what you guys can't see is that it is buckled right here. Probably could be fixable. It did suffer a fair bit of buckling on the corner. So right now, Calvin is just removing these two bolts right here. We're gonna be taking that off. There's an infrastructure frame that goes underneath this front fender, which I'll get into in just a little bit, but we're gonna try to take this fender off. My guess, it's actually gonna take a while because there's a fair bit of bolts on the inside of the door jamb, which is gonna be kind of hard to get to, considering this is as much as we can open the door while it's on the lift.
What you got there, Teach?
So this is the wheel that took like what it looks to be like most of the impact of the crash. And I can only assume that this is a forged wheel, and considering the fact that it did hold up this well, pretty impressive. I still haven't found out the story, nor have I heard from like any owner of this car, so we don't know the story of what happened. A lot of like Ferrari like rebuilding shops and like exotic shops have hit us up. So shout out to all you guys, because I think a lot of you guys are reaching out to them, telling them to look at what we're doing, which is awesome. But if anybody knows the owner of this car and has the story on how it crashed, please reach out. We're dying to know what happened to this Ferrari.
Well, TJ was dealing with that wheel. I went ahead and took off this fender liner to investigate how to remove this fender. And interestingly, TJ was talking about how we have to do it from inside the door jamb. But when I took this fender liner off, and after further investigation, it looks like that thing that TJ spotted is that little bolt right there. And it's welded on the other side. So hopefully taking that out, and I think that one as well down there.
Right over here?
Right here, inside, yeah, inside there. No.
Oh, right here.
Right there,
One
yeah.
here, yeah, there's 3 right here that I see.
Yeah, so hopefully taking those off, we'll get this fender off.
Here's that frame I was talking about too. I'm really excited to see that. I'm gonna talk to you guys about that in just a little bit. That's cool. I haven't seen it before in a car. I haven't seen any car have that. Isn't that cool?
A few moments later.
All right, so we're finding out that after doing some DIY searching on how to remove a 360 fender and side skirt, we're assuming it's gonna be the same thing for the 458. All of the bolts except for 2 are removed from this front fender. There are 2 bolts underneath right here in between like the door jamb, the fender, and the side skirt. But to get to it, you actually need to remove the side skirt. To remove the side skirt, it's a waterfall of things, just like removing the battery of the car. So from what we found on a DIY for a Ferrari 360, we're gonna follow that layout because we can't find anything online on how to remove a Ferrari 458 side skirt. So we're gonna start by taking off the rear wheels and then take out all of the fender lining, expose the actual like wheel well of the car, and then see if we can start removing the rear piece of the side skirt and waterfall to the front, just to remove these 2 bolts. These are, oh my God. Not for a while. Oh, got it. Pull. Dude, I was like all or nothing. Oh, that's better. Yeah, it's much looser now. Oh, I got it hung up again. That's it. Why was there so much wiring for a radar?
Oh my goodness.
So, anyone knows what it is? It's a Beltronics.
This is the sensor.
This is like the radar
Yeah.
piece. There had been a jammer attached to it. So what we're noticing is that to take this front fender off completely, it is a lot of work. You have to take off the rear side skirt, and to get off the rear, what are you doing?
I think it's the other side.
To take off the rear side skirts is a waterfall of things to do, which we already kind of touched on. So we're kind of like trying to do everything else besides that right now, just because we keep hitting a dead end wall with that. So with all the liners removed from the car, we kind of see a better idea of what we're really looking at damage-wise. I've been on the phone with a couple of our exotic sources, and a lot of them are saying that one, which is good news, is that these fenders are actually savable. I was mentioning earlier in the video that I wasn't sure if the right one was savable, but the left one might be. They both said that you're better off just fixing them rather than buying whole new Ferrari fenders. So that's good news. The driver's side front suspension looks pretty good. I kind of want to turn the car on and turn the wheel left and right just to see if anything binds up, just so we can see it moving as well. But all this looks pretty good. The real damage that we have with the car is the whole front skeleton that comes off this piece, and you can kind of see it right here. This arm that comes in the back of the firewall that goes all the way up. When you get this fender off, you can actually like see that it's part of the like front structure skeleton.
Yeah, just across this way. It's like TJ's analogy is his 350, so it's like tube chassis. It's really interesting to see the skeleton or the chassis of this Ferrari, because it's really not that different. It looks really cool.
And this front lower control arm is smashed up. Other than that, that looks like one of the only pieces that are really damaged.
We noticed, we were messing with this. It looks straight and we haven't seen any cracks, as some people have messaged us about. It does catch a little bit. We don't know if that's normal wear or if that's accident wear.
Yeah, it's a little tight and then it gets loose and it gets a little bit tight. That's what she said. But I mean, this part doesn't look that messed up. And again, we're not driving it, so we can't hear anything, but just visually looking, like the sway bar is still intact, the end links are still intact. Only real damage is honestly just right here. This front frame brace is completely bent, and you can even see like where the actual like rest of the car kind of came off is bent and twisted. When we move on to repair this, what the whole idea is that we're gonna buy that front core support piece, and we were actually incorrect when we thought it just bolted on. You actually have to cut it off from the back of the firewall here, and the whole thing comes off. When you put the new one on, you don't bolt it on. We're actually gonna have to weld it on. Now, rather than us doing that here, which is what the what's the word I'm looking for? The courageous person side of me wants to do that, but then the rational side of me says probably a better idea to take that to some place that's actually certified to work on a Ferrari, just so down the line, whether this car gets sold, or even just knowing myself that it was put on straight and correct and is safe, considering I have no welding history besides 10 minutes on a MIG and 2 minutes on a TIG, and shocking myself. I'd rather have it be done by someone who's actually professional and can make sure that it goes on straight, because if we misalign any of this front frame piece, the front bumper is not gonna sit right, the headlights won't sit right, the fenders won't sit right, and everything else is a waterfall. So this is really the most important fix of the whole entire thing. So I've been talking to a couple shops, I've gotten some quotes, and that's definitely where we're gonna go. And after seeing where all the damage really sits in today, which is, you know, these bent front brace pieces and our front lower control arm, there isn't too much that we can't handle other than welding that front brace on.
And once that whole thing is on, the whole brace is on, it's a BRZ after that point. It's like any other car, the RX-7, we just put on all the pieces, the bolt-ons, and we'll have a Ferrari.
And I know a lot of you are gonna be upset because we're not doing that completely in-house and all that type of stuff, but what's more important to me is that, you know, in this being a Ferrari and it kind of has that like stature, I wanna make sure that it's at least done right down to the core. I don't want people to look at this build and be like, oh, it was hodgepodge back together. I wanna take the right route, the safe route, and other than that, that's the only outsourcing we should need for this car. So damage on the interior of the car isn't that bad either. And like I said, I've been talking to a couple exotic collision shops and actually some Ferrari specialized shop, and they all said that finding these exact pieces with this leather trim with that white stitching for sale somewhere online is gonna be a long wait. So what they actually said, and I saw some photos, is that is all repairable. So we're probably gonna send that off to whoever puts the frame back on this car. We're probably gonna send it off to them, and they can actually patch that up and make this look brand new and make this look brand new. And then finding this front airbag for the 458 wheel is a very easy thing to do. So that should be pretty easy. Apart from that, there is a little hole right here. I don't know how that happened. There's a legit hole. That probably wasn't from the accident, or maybe he like had a screwdriver in his hand and when he crashed. I'm not sure. Yeah. That's about the extent of the damage on the 458. It is a lot, but at the same time, it's not that much, kind of.
I mean, there's some lines that we have to address. They're pretty mashed potatoed underneath the car.
Obviously, new power steering lines, all the coolant lines, all the plumbing, pretty much that comes from underneath the car needs to get fixed up. But It's honestly
It's
not
like-
that
it's like
bad.
if-
It's gonna be a learning process, but it's not the worst thing in the world.
It's pretty bare bones. Like the 350, here. It's just the skeleton. We don't have to deal with an engine. That's great. Engine mounts, like none of that. It's just get the frame on
And rebuild it like Legos.
like Legos.
So the frame is the most important thing that needs to get fixed on this car. Once we get that framework done,
Ferrari. Dude.
it
Already
it's just another
drives.
car.
You guys saw it drive. So technically, if we've got a not bummy wheel, we could go drive it.
Yeah, technically. Anyways, that's all we have for this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.
And I'm feeling